Good afternoon, everyone. The town of Hinton respectfully acknowledges that it is located on the First Peoples traditional lands. We recognize this traditional territory to show respect and understanding to those who walk this land since time immemorial. Today, we uphold our ongoing responsibility to work together in the spirit of the intent of the treaties with all the First Peoples and nations that call this place home. The town expresses gratitude for the opportunity to build a better community on these sacred lands for generations to come. And with that, I'll call this meeting to order at 4 p.m. Council, any additions or deletions to today's agenda? Seeing none. Administration?
Nothing from admin.
Thank you, CEO Panasic. With that, I'll entertain a motion, Council. Councillor Hawes.
I'd like to move that we accept the agenda for May 16th, 2023.
Thank you, Councillor Hawes. Council, we have a motion on the floor. Any debate? Seeing none, we will commence voting. And that is passed unanimously. That'll bring us to our council's minute for adoption. Council, any questions? If not, I'll entertain a motion to adopt them. Councillor Stashik.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to move the council adopt regular council meeting minutes for May 2nd, 2023 and committee of the whole meeting minutes for May 9th, 2023.
Thank you, Councillor Stashik. Council, again, we have a motion on the floor. Any debate? Seeing none, we will go to voting. That is also passed unanimously. That'll bring us to our citizens minute with council. You have an opportunity of 1 minute. Please state your name and the mic is yours.
Hi, my name's Sterling and I'm from the Hinton Youth Advisory Council, and I'm going to talk about the art project that we're doing. I think it's on May 25th, and we are going to be painting the plywood that are on the side of the trains at the museum. And it'll be at the youth center on the evening of the May 25th for about 3 hours for people aged 13 to 18.
Okay, awesome. Great.
That's all. Yeah, pretty much.
Okay, thanks so much. Unfortunately, a few of councillors will be away for FCM, but we'll spread the word and hope it's a great turnout. And thanks so much. Thank you.
And I'm going to stay here for another minute with council, switching the hats. So my name is Margaret Schultz and I'm the manager at the Northern Rockies Museum here in town. And we are here to give you a report of a successful completion of one of our winter projects. All of you have heard in some capacity about the Peterson Papers project, where we embarked on the task of cataloging and digitizing Tom Peterson's research papers. Thanks to some grants, Young Canada Works and Yellowhead County Heritage, as well as a private donation, we were able to hire an archivist who worked all winter to catalog and digitize the papers. And the project is basically finished. Devin, our archivist, has moved on to pursue her career in archives. And the only step left is to take those catalog records and digitize files and get them online. We've partnered with the library to use their archive software, and hopefully by end of spring, but definitely by end of summer, those papers will be available for anybody to access. Although Devin's position was funded by grants, the fact that we could do this project at all is thanks to our civic agency funding, because that's what enables us to be open all winter. And we are really grateful for that. Now, at the end of the project, some unexpectedly exciting things happened, and Joan Melvin is here to tell you about them.
Thank you, Margaret. We felt it was important to not only celebrate the achievement that Margaret just talked about, but also to bring awareness to the research collection and its significance in the community. We also wanted to showcase the collaboration between the Northern Rockies Museum and the Coal Branch Archives. So we sent personal invitations to all of you, to our local MLA and MP, the boards and staff of the Jasper, Grand Cache, Edson, Evansburg, and Yellowhead County historical organizations, the press, schools, and family and friends of Tom Peterson. We also advertised the event on social media, and I'm happy to report that we had well over 100 people in attendance, including all of Tom's family. There was a speech to talk about Tom and the research collection, and Margaret and Shannon Schott, the library manager, and Devin Fraser, the archivist. They all gave an account of their involvement in the project. We had Tom's storyboards from his historical presentations displayed, and a video presentation of the last tour that Tom ever gave. FRI Research donated copies of the Trans-Canada Eco Tours Northern Rockies Highway Guide that Tom co-authored for us to give away as complimentary copies, and the Old Grind supplied us with desserts. The Jasper Fitzhugh wrote an article on the project, and a producer from the CBC radio program, Radioactive, picked up the story and called Margaret to learn more. The next thing you know, Margaret and I are on the radio talking about Tom Peterson and his papers. By all accounts, the party was a resounding success, and we look forward to future collaborations with the Coal Branch Archives and having more parties to celebrate our achievements. And I will arrange with Jen to get you a copy of the speech from the party and a clip of the radio program. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks so much for those updates. Great to see that it was a great turnout, and we look forward to the digitization coming up. And yeah, thanks for making the best of the grant and everything else you do.
Okay, thank you.
Thank
Thanks so
you.
much. Anyone else with Minute with Council? Seeing none, that'll bring us to our action items for this afternoon, and we have 4 of them. First one, 6.1, Bikes for Kids, one-off financial request, CAO Panasic.
Thank you, Mayor. I will turn this one over to Ms. Juke.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. This item is on the agenda today for Council's consideration of a community group's request for in-kind contribution to their event on July 22nd, 2023. Attachment 1 to the report is the application from Mobbin Kings with details of the Bikes for Kids event, which will take place in 3 main locations, Hinton first, and then Edson and Yellowhead County, same day. The group is asking for free use of the showmobile for 2 days. Although it's just one night's use, there is travel because it will be moved to Pine Grove Hall in Yellowhead County, where the event ends that day. This is the 5th year for Bikes for Kids in Hinton, and the group plans to give away new bikes to Hinton kids to help ensure as many children as possible have access to a bicycle. That's their aim. They'll start off at Green Square in the morning and then proceed to the next community. They also host a motorcycle poker run that day. And after the bike giveaways, they host an appreciation supper with live music for the volunteers. This is where the showmobile will come in. It'll be towed to the Pine Grove Hall for the wrap event and not return until the next day. The request amounts to a value of $1,150, or just over 5.5% of the original council contingency budget. Administration is recommending council approve the contribution, but 3 alternatives are listed here as well. And with that, we'll take any questions that you might have.
Thank you, Ms. Juke. Council. Councilor Race.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I would like to move that council approves the 2-day free use of the showmobile for the Bikes for Kids event on July 22nd, 2023 at a value of $1,150 with funds coming from the 2023 Council Contingency Fund. And if I may speak to this, sir. I was there last year at this event, and to see all those happy little kids, all the smiles it was priceless. And another thing is I had an opportunity to talk to, I don't know how many bikers about my attempts to get my motorcycle license 22 years ago, and I'm still trying. So there you go, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Race. Council, we have a motion on the floor. I have Councilor Hawes.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I guess I just have a quick question about it. Is it common for it to go out of our community and be used in other communities? I know we use it out in the surrounding area, but I guess the follow-up question to that is, how is it insured? Is that under our insurance, or is it the group that's taking it, that if something were to occur to it out and about? Is it the group that's required to have insurance on it? How does that work?
Through to the chair and to Councillor Hawes. It is customary that the showmobile is used in multiple locations. And that has happened in Jasper, in Edson. We've even had the unit go to Red Deer for the summer games. The user or the renter is required to have cargo insurance on the unit. So that's combined with our normal operating insurance.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Hawes. Council? Any further debate, questions? I'll be in support of this. This is the 5th year, as it was acknowledged earlier. This is a great event to our community, and I think this was the intent for the use of this policy. So I look forward to supporting this, and thanks for all those involved for putting their volunteer time towards this and bringing a lot of smiles to our community in the surrounding area. Council, anything further before I call this to question? Seeing none, we will commence voting. And that is carried unanimously. Council, anything further for 6.1? Seeing none, thank you, Ms. Juke and administration. That'll bring us along to 6.2, 2023 budget adjustment report as of April 30th, 2023. CEO Panasic.
Thank you, Mayor and Council, and I'll be presenting this one today, but Ms. Borbeau is tuning in by Zoom. So if there are any specific questions that she'd be better off to answer, I'll refer them to Ms. Borbeau. We are bringing forward for Council's information the 2023 budget adjustment report. As you know, we passed our budget on December 6th of 2022. Just as a matter of transparency and a matter of good process, we're making sure that any budget adjustments are being brought forward for Council's attention prior to setting of the tax rate bylaw. So going down into the new revenue, we have made some budget adjustments that are under our control based on new information that was provided and trending very well in the first quarter of the year. The first being $15,000 in additional fire service revenue due to higher call volume and chargeable rate increase as of April 1st. $175,000 in investment income projected due to determined low with finalization of audit and where the rates currently sit. We did receive additional grants that were not accounted for originally, which is $80,000 for the climate resilience capacity building grant, as well as an increase to our MSI operating grant allocation. That increase was at $82,000, as well as a new emerging item for a water treatment plant condition assessment. This item is offset in the expenses as well, as we are anticipating grant funding, but this one is contingent on administration coming back to council at a future date for approval. When it comes to new expenses, I touched on the water treatment plant, and the only other one was the offsetting amount for the climate resilience capacity grants, as there is a revenue and an expense associated. With that, the attached budget document illustrates a reduction in reserve contributions from 3.7 million to 2.7, and the required funding for municipal taxation to support the operating budget remains at 13,489,196. I will note that there is a typo at that paragraph where it says 14.3 million. The 4 and the 3 were mixed up, but it is 13,489,196. The only other thing I'll note on the budget adjustments, as we can discuss as well in the tax rate increase is there has been an assessment drop that occurred from December 6th to now. So we do receive those numbers in March, and there was a slight assessment decrease in both our residential and non-residential assessment classes. And that's all from us.
Thank you, CEO Panasic. Council, what would we like to do with 6.2? Any questions or directions? Councillor Hawes.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to move that council accept the 2023 budget adjustment report as information. And if I can just quickly speak to it, I appreciate this. There's always moving parts, and having, an understanding of increases and decreases in our budget before we do the tax rate. I appreciate that practice, and I look forward to the future years. So thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Hawes. Council, we have a motion on the floor. Any debate, questions? Seeing none, we will commence voting. And that was carried unanimously. Council, anything further for 6.2 this afternoon? Seeing none, thank you, administration. That'll bring us to 6.3, 2023 Tax Rate Bylaw 1178. Again, CEO Panasic.
Through the mayor to the rest of council. So we are looking for all three readings today, or we're requesting all three readings for the tax rate bylaw 1178. We are under a relatively short timeline with these tax rate bylaw because we do have penalty tax notices that we issue on July 1st. We need 30 days in anticipation of that to issue out the tax notices. And we also need to give a 7-day buffer for the mailing. So we are looking for all three reading if council is comfortable with that. Following our report to the committee of the whole, we presented a number of different calculations for tax rates. The motion or the consensus to bring forward here today was a 2.9% increase to both the 2022 residential and non-residential municipal tax rates, which will, using the required assessment data, raise $13,251,676 in general municipal taxation. The initial budgeted $2,791,952 contributions to reserves will be reduced to $2,489,730, and this reduction will enable council to provide taxpayers with the tax rate increase of less than 3%. I will point out that the town of Hinton is still honoring for one more year an annexation agreement with Yellowhead County. So we have incorporated the Yellowhead County tax rates, although unofficial, into this bylaw. If Yellowhead County does agree to a different tax rate than what we anticipate at this point, then there is a process through the MGA in order to amend those specific tax rates. I will also point out that on attachment 2, there is a comparison on actual assessments and how this may affect different properties in the town of Hinton from both residential and a non-residential perspective. But if there are any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Thank you, CEO Panasic. Council, we have item 6.3 in front of us. Any questions, directions? Councillor Hawes.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to move that council gives first reading to tax rate bylaw number 1178.
Thank you, Councillor Hawes. Council, we have a motion on the floor. Any debate, questions? I'll be in favor of this. I think being provided all this information coming up to the end of the first quarter, going into the second quarter of 2024, taking into account inflation and setting our community up for the future. a 2.9% tax increase. When I've talked to people in our community, I felt that that's extremely fair and prudent, and I look forward to supporting this motion in front of us. Council, any further debate or questions? Seeing none, we will commence voting. And that is passed unanimously. Council, any appetite for second reading today? Councillor Stashik.
Thank you, Mayor Michaels. I'd like to move that council gives second reading to tax rate bylaw number 1178.
Thank you, Councillor Stashik. Council, we have second reading on the floor. Any debate, questions? Seeing none, we will commence voting. That is also carried unanimously. Councillor Race.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I would like to move that council give unanimous consent to go to third reading of the tax rate bylaw number 1178.
Thank you, Councillor Race. Council, we have a motion on the floor to give unanimous consent to go along to third reading. Any debate or questions? Seeing none, we will go to voting. That is also carried unanimously. Councillor Hawes.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to move that council gives third reading to tax rate bylaw number 1178. And I echo what Mayor Michaels, I think it's a fair tax rate for this year, despite and also a number of years of difficulties. But you know, I think that it's reasonable and it does set us up for the future as well. So thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Hawes. Council, we have third reading on the floor. Any debate, questions? Councillor Stashik.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. No debate or question, just that I'm in support of third reading. I think the rate, the 2.9% rate, strikes a fair balance between minimizing the tax impact of taxation on our residents and businesses, while also making sure that we're looking responsibly towards the future and that we are putting money into reserves for future capital expenditures. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Stashik. Council, any further debate, questions? Seeing none, we will commence voting. That is carried unanimously. Council, anything further for 6.3 this afternoon? Seeing none, again, thank you, administration. That'll bring us to our last action item for today, which is committee of the whole meeting set for May 23rd of 2023 to a potential date change to May 30th, 2023. CEO Panasic.
Thank you, Mayor. I don't have a whole bunch more to add to this, but this is the date change as a result to being on the onset of a conference, and the May 30th would work better for those councillors attending.
Thank you, CEO Panasic. Council, any questions or directions? Councillor Hawes.
Yeah, I'd like to move that council move the May 23rd, 2023 committee of the whole meeting to May 30th, 2023.
Thank you, Councillor Hawes. I'll be in favor of this. We've done this many years. I believe a few councillors are leaving the day after on the 24th, and this gives travel time accordingly. So there's no evening travel if in the event of a late meeting on the 23rd. So I'll be in favor. Council, any further debate, questions? Seeing none, we will open voting. And that is carried unanimously. Council, anything else for 6.4 for this afternoon? Seeing none, that'll bring us to our information items, and we have two, beginning with Seniors Week. We recognize that seniors have made and continue to make many contributions to strengthen our province, our towns, our communities, and our daily lives. Seniors are a vital part to our families, giving generously of their wisdom, experience, and love. More seniors are independent and active, and by challenging the stereotypes of aging, are leading the way for future seniors. And a more positive attitude towards aging is creating new opportunities for new seniors. And we must honor seniors for their skills, knowledge, experience, and leadership. And it is appropriate that a special week be set aside to celebrate with seniors. Therefore, be it resolved that on behalf of council, the town of Hinton, that I, Mayor Marcel Michaels, do hereby proclaim the week of June 6th to the 12th, 2023 to be Seniors Week. I call upon everyone in our community and area to join in celebration of Seniors Week to recognize the valuable contributions of seniors. And just to note, we all know how great our senior community is. They're some of the best volunteers that we have in our community. And perhaps a week's not enough, but it's nice to have a week to dedicate to what they mean and do for our community. And with that, that'll bring us to our second information item, and it's a proclamation connecting the world through Public Works Alberta. Public Works professionals focus on infrastructure, facilities, and services that are of vital importance to sustainable and resilient communities and to the public health, high quality of life, and well-being of people of Alberta. These infrastructures, facilities, and services could not be provided without the dedicated effort of Public Works professionals who are engineers, managers, and employees of all levels of government and of the private sector who are responsible for rebuilding, improving, and protecting our nation's transportation, water supply, water treatment, and solid waste systems, public buildings, and other structures and facilities essential for our citizens. And it is in the public interest for the citizens, civic leaders, and children in Alberta to gain knowledge of and to maintain an ongoing interest and understanding of the importance of public works and public works programs in their respective communities. And the year 2023 marks the 63rd annual National Public Works Week, sponsored by the American Public Works Association. Be it now resolved, I, Marcel Michaels of Hinton, Alberta, do hereby designate the week of May 21st to the 27th of 2023 as National Public Works Week. I urge all citizens to join with representatives of the Canadian Public Works Association and government agencies in activities, events, and ceremonies designed to pay tribute to our public works professionals, engineers, managers, and employees, and to recognize the substantial contributions they make to protecting our national health, safety, and quality of life. Perhaps our longest proclamation in quite some time, but a very important one. With that, that'll bring us to our notices of motion. Any notices of motion? Seeing none, that'll bring us now to our reporting, and I will begin on my right with Councillor Race.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I only have one thing to report. The other day I attended the Hinton Pulp Advisory Committee for Councillor Taylor. Part of that discussion was the public inquiry form that people would fill out if they had a complaint. However, one thing I do want to say is the mill really appreciates people phoning that complaint in. And the number you are to use is 865-2251, extension 3, I believe. So if you want to complain about the smell or complain about something at the mill, they love phone calls. Another thing that was part of the discussion was our 2 monitoring stations that we have in Hinton. And also they talked about emissions for April and May. And that's it, sir.
Thank you, Councillor Race. Councillor Stashik.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have nothing to report.
Thank you, Councillor Stashik. Councillor Haas.
Nothing to report, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Haas. For myself, I was able to attend the Alberta Japan Twin Municipalities Association conference in Jasper a few days ago. A great event, something that's sort of been quiet for some time. 9 communities showed up with different representation, but there was Rocky Mountain House, who will be the host in 2024, Stony Plain, which will be 2025. There are no one assigned yet for 2026 and 2027, but it happens to be that the town of Hinton's 30-year anniversary with Wanuchi is in 2028, as we establish our relationship with them in 1998. So perhaps an opportunity for council to work with administration and potentially putting a bid to host. As I said, the turnout was quite large, 9 different municipalities going with 1 or more reps, which was a great, showed the deep history with Japan and Canada when it comes to rock climbing. A lot of mountain climbers came from Japan here in the area. For Mount Alberta was one of the first one. And there was a myth legend with a silver axe at the top that was left by Japanese hikers in 1925, which was very interesting. But again, it's there was a focus on the JET program, which is having students go to Japan and work with more ease, where they can get approval through the consulate of Alberta, and we can give recommendations. So it's almost like a streaming process, something that I wasn't aware of that we can do. So perhaps encourage that in the future. And I look forward to for myself and whoever else from council who's interested in going in Rocky Mountain House next spring 2024. And that's all for myself. CEO Panasic.
I have nothing to report, but if there are any questions from council, I'll do my best to answer.
Thank you, CEO Panasic. Council, anything for our CAO? Seeing none, I will entertain a motion to adjourn. Councillor Haas.
Yeah, make the motion to adjourn.
Thank you, Councillor Haas. Council, any debate? Seeing none, we will commence voting. And that is passed unanimously. Thank you very much, everyone.